we've got a room full of participants tonight, which is good. So we'll talk about, I'll start with the run and carry because that was one of the first questions. Right? And I'll talk to you about where we started, and this will then feed into some of the other things we'll talk about in terms of the drills. Okay? I need 3 people to come up and stand on 3 of the 4 cones for me. Well, it doesn't matter who it is. Come boys. Room full of participants, remember? You know it. Right. Okay. Really basic drill, and this is all we're doing now is we're teaching a little bit about space and shape in essence. So the only rule in this drill is you have to receive the ball on a cone. So we'll get rid of, we only need 3. Too many participants. Right. You can only receive the ball on the cone and you can only go straight down the line, you can't go on the diagonal. Right. Handball. Wherever you like. Go. Wherever you like, you can handball it wherever you like. You have to go around the circle. Okay. Well, there's that one. Yeah, good. Okay, hold. Right, what did we see, even just in that short period of time, what did we see with the guys who are on the outside?
Well, one way than the other.
Yep. Yep. What decision happens all the time? Triangles, yeah. So that's definitely part of run and carry, there's no doubt about that, in terms of the spacing and the shape. What else was the one person? So if the ball moves to here, or goes to there, what am I doing if I'm on this cone? Yeah, moving. What else am I doing? Making space, yeah. But I'm anticipating what's happening, aren't I? So I'm moving here, all right? Now it goes back there, and we make the same decision, we just adjust to what's happening. Okay, so a really basic drill. Make sense? I guarantee you that even if you do it with your senior guys, it's a great warm-up drill to be able to do. One vacant cone, only handball sideways around the outside, right? And just keeping that ball in motion. So there's a level of anticipation. You can start to make it bigger, you can make it a kick, you can do it. It's a really good drill for moving into position. Because what happens, typically, if we're doing run and carry, where do the players get to a lot, which makes it difficult? Sorry? Back of the group, yep. What else? What we talked about triangles and angles here. If I've got a defender coming, where do they tend to get? Yeah, over the back of the defender. So what does this teach them? Yeah, so we're trying to get those triangle sort of lateral options. All right, makes sense? Okay, really basic position to start. Really easy way for us to progress a little bit of our run and carry. What we're going to do now is we're going to have 4 players on the outside, and we're going to have 2 on 2 on the inside. All right, so we need we're going to have 4 new. So if you're on the cone, you can jump out. I need 2 in orange and 2 others on the inside. Let's go. 4 on the outsides. 2. We need 4 on the inside. 2 in bibs and 2 without bibs. Okay. Again, this can be handball or can be kick.
Good luck.
Now what we're going to do is the orange are going to defend. Okay. Guys on the outside, you're staying stationary. Now there's no decision to be made on the outside. Now it's just a matter of whether we can get it in or we go around. Make sense? Okay, so if you can handball inside, you score 3 points. If you handball outside, you score 1 point. Right, we'll talk a little bit about defence later. We'll leave that alone for now. Ready? Let's go. Oh. Good defence. Chuck it in. Go. All right, Sam. Yeah, use me. Beautiful. Okay. Good. Hold. What are we teaching them about here? Use the. Okay. What are we teaching? Position. Yep. What else?
Decision making.
Decision making. Yeah, we're starting to add a decision in there. Absolutely. Movement. Right. How hard was it to defend when the ball was moving? I'm talking to the The two oranges. Yeah. It's bloody hard, wasn't it? So if it goes from here to here to here, all of a sudden you were set up here and the ball's over that side, really, really difficult to be able to defend. Okay, so particularly if you talk about slightly older kids, you do a little handball grid like this, and what do the best kids want to do?
Right, do too much.
Yeah, they hang on to the ball. Everyone experience that? Yeah. They become better players if they start using their teammates when they're in position. Right, so keep the ball moving, keep it in motion. Don't allow it to stay still. We want to keep this ball moving from our attack point of view. Right. Done that. Right, we need some new participants. We need 3 on white cones down this end. I'll teach you some principles of running carry. I was really lucky when One. Okay. When I first started at Geelong, I was really lucky because Dave Wheaton was working there as well. So Dave, I don't know if you guys know Dave, he's a bit of a guru in terms of drills in particular, and running carry was one of his babies. So that period with Geelong through the time when they were at their best, so through 07 when their running carry was unbelievable, a bit like the Bulldogs are now, but through that period he was the one that was sort of the teacher in essence of the running carry. Right, let's talk about some principles of running carry. If the ball is in the middle here, why is that a great position for us given what we've got right here?
Two options.
Two options.
Spread the defender.
Yeah,
Go one way.
absolutely. What happens when the ball goes to this side? Sorry?
Much easier for the defender.
Why is it easy for the defender? So when you say that, make statements, I'm going to ask you why a lot, because it's really important. If you want to understand how to progress the drills and how to make them better, it's really critical that you understand the why. Why is it easier for the defender?
It's easier for him to corner you over there and cut the other two out.
So he's only got one side to defend now. Agreed? Everyone agree? Okay. If we do this drill, so the aim of this drill is these 3 have got to get past that one. Okay, we'll talk about the most simple form, but we'll talk about the principles of running carry for a start. If this ball goes to here, how can we maintain balance? Because we're saying balance and the multiple options is the best option for us to be able to get through and have success. How do we now regain balance by Carl having the ball here? Yeah, so he can run in. So what happens there?
He's got to move.
What does that look like? That we've all done 1,000 times. 3-man weave, here we go. So come back. Okay, so that's one option. What else can we do? Yep, so we can run all the way around. Yep. So which is the same sort of thing we're talking about. Carl has to run back towards the middle a little bit. What else?
Make a triangle.
Yeah, so we can balance up this way. Yep.
He goes down, he comes across.
What else?
Belts can come down this side and Lloyd can come across.
Yeah, so there's all those different variations in terms of the running patterns. Well, there's one other decision we can make.
Draw here.
Run and carry.
No. I don't mind. Doesn't really help our running carry though. Can we handle back?
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first progression of this drill, and you can do it with 1 or you can do it with 2, it doesn't matter, probably start with 1, is this player who is defending, all he can do is go sideways. He can go left or he can go right. That's it. Okay, so we've added, in terms of, there's decisions to be made down there, but this player is going to make it a little bit more simple. So that's one way we've manipulated the drill marginally to make it a little bit easier. What's the other way we can manipulate this drill so we have success as a coach? What do I do? Through it to the middle player. Right, that guarantees a success or a high level of success versus if I do that. Everyone agree? Okay, so again, we've got to just think about, if we're stripping it right back and we make it as simple as we can, there actually sets up what we want. There doesn't. There forces them to make another decision. So that's our next step in terms of what we need. So one defender, just come up to here. Right, all you can do is go sideways. You can't go up and back. You guys just walk the ball through. And we'll talk about a couple of the principles of running carry. There's a little bit up and back there. Go back, reset. Right. If I am going to release a handball to eliminate this defender, where's the optimum distance? How far away?
3 or 4 metres.
3 or 4? So if I release it now and we're here, is that a good release point or is that too early? Too early, why? Can he still defend him?
Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Because he's got enough time and space to be able to
Yeah.
physically.
So we're saying I probably should be a little bit closer. If I can't be closer or I want to release it now, what does Carl have to do?
Wide on
Wide. Okay, again, we've got to strip it right back and think about the wide. So if he goes wider, right into the glass there, now if I release it now, are we potentially eliminating the defender? Agreed. Okay, so width, if you have it, if you can create width will enable you to be able to release the ball sooner. Otherwise, you're talking essentially probably about 1.5 meters, 2 meters from the receiver, or the defender. Make sense? Sure it does?
Yeah.
Okay, so this, again, I guarantee if you do this drill with some of your senior sides, they'll struggle, right? So if we talk about 1 defender or 2 defenders, you can have as many defenders, and all they're doing is moving lateral. What is the next extension without really changing too much in this drill?
They can move up and down as well.
Yeah, that's the next one, I reckon. Yep. How might we challenge these 3?
Ball comes to the feed the ball the outside first.
Okay, so now we start to feed the ball potentially to the outside. Oh, so if I do this, what are we going to do? Go.
Do something, Carl.
Right, hold. Okay. All you 3 are going to do, just come back here. All right, you can go sideways. All you 3 can do is walk in a straight line. And as soon as I throw it, you've got to start walking. Go. Have we been through if we've been able to execute properly? Absolutely. Okay, now you can do whatever you like. Go. Good. Okay, we're through. If we're having trouble with this because our attackers are going really slow, how can we speed it up? Yeah, so that's our next step. We'll do that next. So having 1 defender in here who can go wherever he wants will really challenge the attack a lot more. So if that's our step, what do we have to do as the coach again? Make sure we don't go too fast. So we've gone from lateral with always fed to the middle, lateral with fed to the side. Now we go to, he can go wherever we want. Where do we need to feed the ball? Back to the middle again. Okay, so we're just progressively making it more difficult, right? And then we can start to feed it to the side. If they're going too slow, because it'll happen with some sides, where they'll go backwards and sideways. What do we say we want to do with the ball? Have it, what? Moving. Okay, so moving, which means if we're moving 3v1, we should make it impossible for him to be able to defend. But if they're not, how can we make them go faster?
Space.
Give them a rule, they must receive when they're moving only.
I'm a defender now. As soon as it comes in, I'm in. Does that make him go fast? Shit, yeah. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, how do we then start to expand the drill and make it more difficult? So we've got 1 who can move wherever he wants, 3v1, 3v2. Okay, again, you might have them moving lateral for a start and they can go wherever they like. So when I first started at Geelong, we had an academy, an AFL squad and a VFL squad, which was their pre-season squad at that stage. So in the main training days, we'd start with the AFL side and they would do it was unbelievable. They'd do it 9v8, high number, and they just slice it. It was unbelievable how good they could get it through. Then we'd do it with the academy in the afternoon, and they might have to be 7v3 or 7v4 just to get some success, right? And then we'd do it with the VFL boys in the afternoon, and sometimes we'd do it 8v2 and the ball would turn over. You're like, what's going on here? In terms of the principles of coaching, if you have low number, outnumber, 1, it'll make it easier for your players to be able to work out why it did or didn't work, but who else does it help to be able to work that out? Coach. Because I almost guarantee if this player's moving lateral and I throw the ball in and it's 3v1 just going through this space, we can all say that didn't work and this is why it didn't work. Make sense? Yep. If we had 8v7, so we had 8 guys down this end and 7 guys through the middle, and I threw it in and the ball got stopped, and I said, why didn't that work? How hard do you reckon it is to work out exactly why? It's bloody difficult, that's why a game's so hard. So retain that principle in terms of thinking about your drills and how you coach your drills, and keeping them at their most simple form so that the players can learn and progress through. Does that make sense with that? By the end of the year, starting with that, progressing to this, having 2, then having the move, we could do little 5v3 run through and kick a goal. And they would get to the end, so even in terms of the principles of getting close to goal, and we could tell them, why didn't that work? And they'd say, well, I had somebody in a better position, I shouldn't have kicked the goal, or should have had a shot on goal, I should have handballed to him because he was inside. You've got to take them back and you've got to teach them the why. Have I gone back far enough? Everyone understand the progression and how that works through there? Run and carry? We're all good with it? The variations you can start to add in are more randomness in the starting point. So you can still have cones, but you might have one back a bit further, one over there, might be one here, might have one slightly forward with random defenders inside and the space to be able to attack through. That's where your run and carry starts to work. But keep applying those triangle principles. Okay? If I want a handball sooner, what does my receiver need to do? Go wider. Right, we're trying to maintain those triangles as much as we can. And then if he gets wide enough, you can actually almost get forward of the defender. Right, if you are close, so if Carl's going to receive it, it's probably about 1.5 meters. You're looking at just over arm's length away before I release that ball. Otherwise, he's going to get closed down by the defender. Make sense? We all got our run and carry drills sorted? Sweet. Okay. Thanks, boys. We're done there. Righto. I'll just quickly, what else do we have on the list? Oh, we'll talk about defence. Actually, no, we'll do another more. What else do we have?
There's helping kids work into being more contested.
Yep. All right. What you need if you want to do the contested stuff is you need to have one of those bump bags. Okay, so again, let's talk about progressions let's talk about progressions of winning a contested ground ball. Okay? Where do we start? How do we start teaching them to be able to win a contested ground ball? Let's strip it right back from this. Yep. So, but how do we teach it though?
Having them lined up and straight
Yep. What are we teaching them? Tell me what they're teaching, because if we want them to improve, do we put 8 in the line and we just keep feeding them in, they either pick it up or they don't pick it up? Why do you hold the ball? Yep.
Where their head's positioned.
Yep.
Where their...
Let's strip it right back. Right. I want to pick up a ground ball. You guys have got to teach me. So, it's not a, if I'm playing tennis, I can hit a forehand and it goes in. There's different levels of hitting that forehand and going in. Does everyone agree? Yeah. So if you think about the golf swing, you can hit it down the middle and it can go 200 metres. Sometimes that can be a great swing, sometimes that can be a terrible swing. So we can't be outcome based. So it can't be, I picked that ball up, that was great technique. I didn't pick that ball up, that was poor technique. Does that make sense? We've got to be better than that. We've got to be able to, that's terrible for a kid to hear, that either I am picking it up or I'm not picking up, and I don't actually have any cues for you of what you need to do. Right, so teach me about the technique. Bend your knees.
One foot behind the ball, shoulders down, looking at the footy, looking at where you're going.
Yep.
Bend your knees.
On knees, yep. Yep.
And one hand in front of one hand behind the ball, so pick actually pick it up.
Right, like that. Yep. Okay.
I'd go back a step tail and do what they do before they get to the ball.
Yep. So what are we talking about?
I'd get them to come in and they get low down before they go pick it up.
So it's really important with picking up ground balls that you get them to really drop their hips and sit their ass down. Okay, so you can bend your knees and keep your ass up. We actually want to really get them nice and low. So it's a sort of a power position where you are split. So how wide should your legs be? Shoulder width. Okay, so this is not a criticism. All I'm saying is, when I'm saying this, think about, have you actually taught your players this? Have you taught your kids that this is correct technique to be able to pick the ball up, rather than assume that they know, turn up and we just feed ground balls in, they either pick it up or they don't pick the ball up? And when I say this, I'm going back to when I coached at South Bar. You know when I said about how I do things really differently with training? This is exactly the same. If I went back and coached now, these are the things that I would break down and actually, I'd teach them really strongly. I teach them with real purpose now that I've got a better understanding of how to go about teaching it, because I didn't teach it and it was poor by me. I should have been better at being able to teach this stuff, and I should have prioritised it a little bit more. And you've got to trust me when I say, in an AFL system, this stuff is done over and over and over and over again. So I reckon if it's good enough for AFL players, it's probably good enough for our Oz kickers or our under-10s or our senior players at local level. So approach is important. Making sure that we don't get too wide with our feet is important, because what happens if we get too wide? Can't take off, so we can't actually go anywhere after we get it. What happens if we stay too close? Might get knocked over. So again, you've got to have these things in your back of your mind, because once we start to progress it and maybe we add a bag in and the kid falls over, what are you going to tell him? What are we going to tell him? Your stance is probably too narrow. Next time, try and just widen your stance a little bit. Understand? So it's critical we understand the why. If you don't understand the why, you can't teach your players correctly. Right? So that low crouch position. What's the other mistake a lot of players make with ground balls? There's a couple, I reckon.
Try to get it one-handed.
Yeah, maybe one-handed. Yep.
Take their eye off the ball.
Take their eye off the ball. So the ball's here, where they start to look.
Where they're going.
Where they're going to give it hard.
So again, we've got to think about our progressions. So that happens if you get there too fast. And it'll still happen at times. But if we say, I'm going to throw you a little half volley, I want you to bend down, pick it up. There's one other mistake I reckon players make, and I'll see it happen a fair bit with some of our AFL guys.
Reach for it.
They start reaching out in front. You actually got to let the ball almost come to you. So try and get it, we're trying to get it right underneath us here. That's the point where we want the ball. We actually don't want it out there, which is what players will start to do. So again, I'm just telling you because it'll be a cue for you to be able to look for. Simplest form, how are we going to do it? How are we going to teach it?
Shoulder break.
Yep, so we might even, would it matter, after we've shown them, if they did it with no ball? They'd feel pretty stupid probably, but would it matter? Okay, now what's the easiest way for us to do a little ground ball where we can manipulate it a little bit?
Stationary ball.
Yep, so it might be stationary, and how would we feed them that ball?
Big pairs.
Yep, so we're coaching them, it's us with that player for a start. Think about how we might do it to control it.
Barrel roll.
Yep, so really slow barrel roll over the top like that. Easy way to coach it, easy way to see whether the technique's correct or not. What's the next one we might do? No? How else could we do it?
Half volley.
Half volley. So again, we're restricting the parameters around it by making sure we control exactly where the ball goes. So instead of it being a random situation where maybe their hands can get out in front, maybe they don't get in the right spot, we're actually getting them set and we're throwing the ball exactly where we want them to pick it up, so I start to feel what that's like. Right, let's progress it now. What's next? Maybe a harder roll. What's the next progression post that?
I think it's not moving.
Start to move. Perfect. Understand the steps? So we've gone right back. We've made it as simple as we possibly can, started to progress, and now all they're doing essentially is probably where every coach starts. But what have we done as coaches? What have we done in the process for us? Let alone the kids, what have we done for us?
We've developed an understanding of the sequence. I think that's what when you're saying about what you would do if you went back to South Barwon. I think sometimes we just haven't had the knowledge to go back and...
No doubt. And that's why I wanted to say, this is not me criticising and saying everybody in the room is doing it wrong. I'm saying now I've got the tools to be able to do it, I would go back and do it this way. And that's why I'm trying to share as much of it as I possibly can. We've also taught ourselves how to coach the players. So what did we say some of the faults might be? Think of the things we've talked about that might be wrong in the technique. What are they? Yep, so bum might be too high, so drop your ass. Yep, what else? Another coaching point. Stance. So if they can't exit out, what does it mean they've done with their feet? Too wide. What else?
Too narrow.
Too narrow, which means they've probably got knocked over, or they've been unbalanced when they've tried to come out. What else? Sorry?
Don't reach.
Reach out. So they might fumble on the first take, hands might be too far in front. What's the other one we talked about? Might have lifted their head, they might have looked up. So you'll start looking for all those things, and I guarantee you over time, once you've done it a few times through, you'll know exactly what's wrong. And you'll be able to give your players direct feedback around what they've done wrong. And over time, what will they be able to do? Yeah?
Self-regulate.
Yeah. So you'll be able to say, what happened there? Like, oh, I lifted my eyes up. Perfect. Go back and do it again. Just keep your eyes over the ball. I didn't drop my ass down. Perfect. Go back and do it. So that is for everybody. That's junior footy, Oz kick, under 10s. It doesn't matter what level you are. Those sort of things are really important. Progression. What's our next progression? Moving. So we've got the moving in.
Oh, sorry, bump back.
Bump bag. Perfect. Okay, how are we going to control the bump bag?
Just yourself.
Yep, so, but think about how you set your drill up. I need someone to come and set a drill up for me. This is my bump bag, and I'm going to hold it. Somebody come and tell me how we're going to do it. Basic level.
Come from the side with the bump bag.
Yep. Come and show me. Okay? Just, this is participating. Doesn't matter if it's not right. We can talk about.
Running off there.
Yeah, so someone come and stand on the drill, on the cone for us. I had two there. I've got the bag here.
Coach Amos.
Yep.
He's instructing his mate, he wants to run in. As he picks up the ball, you're going to come in the fly pressure with the bump bag. He's got to take the knock and then
Yep. What do we all think?
get the handball away.
So you're coming in, eh?
No, I'm standing. Am I standing still?
He'll step in once he takes the ball.
Yep.
Picks up the ball.
What do we think?
I'd go back to station first.
Perfect. All right. So why do we go back to stationary? Yeah. So think about how many parameters we're adding in. We're adding a bag in. So is the bag enough? Where did we start before we had the bag? Stationary. Can we do it with the bag with stationary? Probably not. What was the next thing we did?
Barrel rolls.
Yeah. Movement. Just started to move. And what's the most basic move we can do right here? Huh?
Walk through.
One step. Everyone agree? Well, again, we'll just think about how gradual the progression could be. What is the coach doing?
Controlling speed.
Really slow roll, or what was the other thing we did was the next progression? Half volley. Okay, again, controlling that point. Okay, let's go. Let's throw it in. I've got the bag here. Let's coach him. Oh. Okay. Let's give some coaching points. What happens?
Turn himself the other way, open himself up, get cleaned up.
Yep. So now we've added the bag in. What do we start? What's the different thing that we didn't have before? Technique in terms of the turn a little bit. So we know which side. So what are we coaching him to do? Right. Come and tell it. You've got to come and coach him. Tell him what he's going to do. I'm going to see how much you blokes have learned.
So as the ball to roll in here,
Yep.
as it comes in here, we're trying to put your left foot forward to protect the ball here, but also to take the bump on that side there as it comes in.
Perfect. Okay, let's go. Chuck it in. What do we think?
I think it's
Yeah. So reaching out, hands were out in front. What else?
Urgent didn't turn his body.
Didn't turn his body. Why didn't he turn his body? Yeah.
Just let it come to him.
Was it a wide step? Does that make it hard then to turn your body? Absolutely. If we wanted to add one more parameter in to make it really, really simple, what if we said, what am I going to do here?
He's got a bump through.
Huh?
That's where
So he's going to step two. Right, I want you to step in front of the green cone and turn your ass. Okay, drop those hips down when you pick the ball up. All right, it's only a small step, go. Is it too wide? Maybe. So we just tighten it up a little bit. Let's go again. Better? What do we think? What do we want him to do? Coach him? Turn his body a little bit more, get that ass a bit further across. Everyone agree? Yeah. Okay. We'll just make that a little bit wider. Let's go now. How's his technique now? Yeah. Good? Perfect. Everyone happy? See how quickly it happened and how well we'll step it back. Because we've gone through that other process, we understand now what it looks like. Now we can start to, don't be afraid to make it really, really simple. And think about cues you can use for your players to make it as easy as possible. Get rid of the cone, now we're doing the same thing. Then what are we going to do? Progress it.
Volley.
Okay, so random feeds maybe, with the bag stationary. What's next? No?
Position where you are.
He's moving, I'm stationary. Okay? It's important in terms of the progression, he knows what he's going to do and what's happening around him. As soon as his environment is changing, which is the same as the guys going lateral, so when they're going side to side, the players know exactly what he's going to do, don't they? But he might go right or he might go left, but he's just going to go left or right. Once he can go anywhere, all of a sudden the environment starts to change. So that's more challenging for the player. Make sense? So if I've got the bag and I'm moving, his environment's changing and it's much more uncertain for him. Whereas if I'm still, even if he's moving, his environment stays the same. All he's got to worry about is the ball. Does that make sense for everybody as well? How are we with contested technique? You'll be surprised at the improvement if you just do some of the repetition of this over and over and over again. You can do it with two bags where all you're doing, one either side, where all you're doing is less about technique. It's a little bit about waiting for the ball to come to you, so not reaching, but you're conditioning your players to get used to that contact. Does that make sense? Bag on this side, bag on that side, a bit like the old gauntlet where you come through the middle, but again, just concentrate on a bit of technique stuff. But it's getting your players used to the contact. Again, use the tackling analogy. You get smacked in the nose the first time, you're not that keen to go and tackle after that. Right? And that idea of protecting space and using your body to shield, one, you, but also the ball, is a critical element to almost all contested stuff. So if you think about contested marking, it applies to that as well. So that idea of being able to control space. Happy? Got new drills for training this week? Again, a lot of these things you'll find that maybe you'll just apply to next year's pre-season. I'm not saying you should revolutionise what you do or try and chuck everything out you've been doing. Hopefully you've got some new tools to be able to do some of the things you've been doing already and maybe just coax them a little bit stronger. Right? Key teaching points with ground balls and contested balls are what? Go through it again for me, really quickly. Arse down, drop that arse. Yep.
Position your feet.
Yep, so feet not too wide, not too narrow.
Don't reach.
Yeah, don't reach out in front and yeah, don't lift your eyes up. Perfect. Happy? Beautiful. What was next?
Team defence.
Team defence. Righto. What you can do is bring your chairs right around this mat, because we'll do it on the mat. We'll talk about that. Put the ball in the goal square. What I need is I need 3 people to grab one of the yellow bags over there. For me. 3 people. 3 of them in. Right, this is a kick in, but it doesn't matter whether it's a kick in, it's just for the purpose of the drill, it's a kick in. I want you to put your yellow bag, one next to the first red, second red, third red, where you're going to stand. Go. Be really specific, so don't just plonk it near there, be specific with where, and I want you to tell me why. Sorry, who's kicking? The opposition, we're defending. We're defending. So yellow, you're defending. The reds are the attackers. Okay. Talk to me why. First one.
Just trying to guard the corridor.
Yep.
Don't want to get opened up.
Yep. So what are you using to assist you in that?
What am I using?
Yeah.
My position.
Yeah. So why are you inside?
To force him wide.
Yeah. So you're happy for him to take that mark?
The wide way?
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Okay. Yeah. What does everyone think?
What if he's a left footer, Bradley? You can roll.
Yeah.
He knows his player well enough.
He's a right footer. He's a right footer.
Yep. What does everyone else think? Again, there's no...
You're not the right so far, and then the second one, he's got the, so he can't come inboard as well, so the teammate behind him has got the area covered as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me what he's using. What is he using to help him defend? Boundaries, one. Yeah, definitely. Does everyone agree that he's using the boundary to help him? Yeah. That's a reason to stand inside. We're sort of eliminating, assuming that there's other players in here, in essence. But it's still slightly inside a good position to stand. Yeah. Talk to me why else you might stand there. How many guys in this position would go and stand in front of their opponent? What do you reckon? And if you would, tell me why. What do you boys think? Where would you stand? Kick in, don't defend.
Come on, Malik, where would you stand? Well,
Well, he's standing.
So we were talking, I mean, relative to the over, we're talking 30 metres from the ball.
He's standing in front of him, he's got all that area behind you to run
Yep.
wherever he wants to.
Yep.
All depends on what support you've got behind
So you've
you
got
as
three
well.
players. Let's assume it's just that channel there. They can't get any further inside. They've got that channel there. What do you think? Happy with where you are? Let's go to the second one. Talk about it. Do you have this one?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
So, certainly guarding that corridor, trying to keep it wide.
Yeah.
Sort of a little bit,
Using what?
using the boundary.
Beautiful.
Right? A little bit in front, I suppose, just to, if the pressure's coming from here, the kick might go a little bit short, just trying to cover my bases, I suppose. I don't want to have this, allow this guy to run up and have just an easy hit up lead, so I want to try and put a bit of pressure on with that.
Yep.
You know, ideally I'd try and push him wide. Yeah, I suppose that's wrong.
What does everyone think?
Is he like 80 from the kicker there?
Well, we're talking probably 70 maybe. It's about the edge of the square, so we're talking 70 metres.
It's the old Waverley green.
Yeah, well, I'm using the sort of midpoint of the 50, almost at the edge of the centre square. What does everyone think? Feel free to have an opinion. Happy?
You just don't want the red one to be able to link up. If the first red marks it, you don't want the other red to be able to link up with him
Yeah.
and create flow-on traffic.
Yep.
And I suppose
What do we think?
he's in a position there to come forward and impact if red one leads away from goal
Yeah.
behind as well.
So we've got the boundary. Is there anything else he's using to help him defend?
His other player.
Which one?
Yeah, oh, well, he's got a bit of both, I suppose, because he's the middle player. So this guy could offer support if he needs to come down, but this guy, once this guy has kicked, could be rolling back into a more relevant position.
Why can he be in front?
Because he can't kick that far, yeah. So
There we go. Can he kick that far? Not many. If he does, if you kick it 70 metres, let's say hypothetically Suckling's going to kick a barrel from full back and he can kick it 70. How long does that ball go in the air for?
Long time.
4, 5, 6 seconds? Does that give you time to adjust? Yeah. What about our last one? Let's talk about our last one.
Probably because we're so far off the kicking out, it's probably going to be either the second kick or it's a run and carry kick down to that position. So I've probably got some time in the air.
Yep.
Using the boundary for defence.
Yep. Would anybody change the position of that last yellow?
Bring him forward.
Yep. Moving where you'd like him to go. Tell me why.
I don't really know. Maybe like somewhere around in the middle, just so it's like to cover this guy. So say if all depending on that first kick. So if that were to be like a long kick, then this guy could come up for any ball that spills out the back. Or if there's like if this guy does take the mark and there's a fast movement, then they're out straight away. But it's just like to really bring up that pressure.
Yep. So put him where you'd like him, and we'll talk about it.
Probably there. Yep. Like right in the middle, in between those two.
What do we think?
That allows
push him
him
out
to
of
drop
it.
off.
Yeah, yeah.
You know where he wants to go.
Yeah.
Far away.
Yellow's not really controlling him there.
Yep. Does he need to control it? How far? Look.
Well, you don't get possession of the ball and they've got
Yeah, but he-
play going.
Okay.
I would think that most teams, if that was your centre half forward and you had your ruckman standing in front, 20 metres in front, your coach would be screaming, make us all one.
So we'll talk about the rationale of why.
Making the red guy make a decision.
Yeah.
And the ball's not going, he's not going to kick it. If this first one gets it, he's not kicking it 80 metres over
So-
the top.
So the basic principles of team defence and positioning in terms of taking dangerous space on your opponent are around space and your distance from the ball. So if we think in terms of the one kick rule, so if you are one kick away from the ball, so let's strip it back even further. You're 0 to 30. How close should you be to your opponent? Why?
Or if we put kicks.
It gets there really quickly, okay? And it can be a mark, right? You get there really quickly. Everyone got that part of the principle. So if we talk about this one here, it's probably marginal. It's a bit hard to tell with this, but he might be slightly proactive, but he's going to be pretty close to him, isn't he? He's 30 metres from the ball. Everyone agree that he should be pretty close. Now we're talking 70 metres from the ball. Where should he be? Does he need to stand next to his opponent? How close should he be?
You're like in front of him.
Why?
Because the ball won't be kicked.
Yeah, so I can't get there in one kick, or if it does, he's got time to adjust. Yeah, why else?
And he can, he's eliminating the distance to the first contest, and they can link up to hopefully stall the attack.
So if he stands here, how is he helping the red in front?
Give him space to lead in.
Sorry?
He's allowing him space to lead in.
Allowing him.
The red run.
So the red, the yellow's the defence, aren't they?
You do.
Yeah, sorry, so I got that the wrong way. If the yellow comes and stands here, sorry, he's our yellow defender. What is he doing now?
He's giving the kicker down.
Yeah, so he might create doubt. I've got the ball and I want to punch it inside, but I see an opposition player who's 15 metres away and I've got to kick 40 metres. Do I take the kick? Probably not. If I've got a kick in the middle and all I can see is my teammates in there, do I back myself in and be really confident with the kick? Absolutely. What else is he doing? So he's creating doubt for the kicker. What else is he doing?
Take away the space.
Space, yeah, of his opponent. Yep. What else?
You also trusting your teammates around you, yeah.
Yeah, so explain that a little bit more.
So like when you bring this guy up, and then if this guy comes up, it's like trusting your team defence and your structure, and like backing yourself into the contest and taking into set mark.
Yep, so who's he helping?
The first guy.
Yeah, the first guy. Yeah.
Which space is he eliminating for the guy in front?
Red can't come back.
Beautiful. So what does that allow the yellow in the first line to do? Take a bit more of which space?
Forward.
Front space. Agreed? Because he's not as worried. It doesn't mean he can't worry about it at all, but he's not as worried about that space behind. Does that make sense? So you don't have to be overly aggressive with this, but this is the principle. And even when I talked about Sydney being man on man, they still apply these principles in essence. And I guarantee you, your good players, the ones that play across your back line, if their man goes and stands at full back and the ball's at the other end, is he standing next to him? I guarantee he's not. He'll be up here in the middle of the ground, getting in a position, and he'll read the play as it comes. So if they now move this ball, and let's assume this red has marked the ball here, whatever reason he's marked it here, what happens?
Yellow pushes back slightly in the middle.
Yellow pushes back to the red, yeah?
He stays where he is.
The other bloke stays.
Yeah. Everyone agree? What might he do if he's got perfect position for that first kick? So let's assume he was in absolutely perfect position for that ball being full back. What might he have to do now?
We'll go over his shoulder.
If, I would argue if he was in perfect position for that first one, he can't be possibly in perfect position now. He might just have to close that gap a little bit. Might still be in front. He probably will be still in front, but he needs to bridge that gap a little bit to make it more difficult if they do happen to get the ball moving. Does all that make sense? If I'm let's go to the next one. We're even further back. Forward standing there. Yellow.
Dana.
No pressure.
Okay, let's talk about why. Why is he there? Everybody else?
Well, I suppose he's helping out this way, which is a lot further distance from the kick, creating a lot more hang time, which gives him a chance to come in and intercept the ball.
Yep. Why is he going across that way?
Between the ball and that other player.
Yeah.
He covers it around a lot easier.
Yep.
He can cover it in
Really
one
simple
direction.
answer.
He can go either way.
Yep. Where's the ball? Is it on this side or that side? Yeah. It's on the right side of the ground. Which side of his opponent should be on? Okay, so again, if we just apply that principle, if I'm here, all right, let's assume I'm in a neutral position. Doesn't matter where we are. Don't worry about the depth from the ball now. So we've talked a little bit about that. Ball is here. I'm in a neutral position because it's in the middle and it goes that way. What do I do straight away? On the yellow.
Get on the, between the ball and the...
Straight away. As quick as we can to that side of our opponent. Make sense? So if you want to play a hard man on man, or you want to play a team defence, and I might even show you a little bit of stuff in a sec. So Sam Doherty is killing it at the moment. He's going really well as a defender. And this is the stuff he's doing unbelievably well. So this stuff here and this stuff here. Ball moves, he moves. So he's not waiting for his opponent to make a decision as to what he's going to do before he makes a decision. The ball goes from the left side of the field to the right side of the field, he's moving to the right. And then sometimes what he'll do is he'll get to there and he'll just wait, and all the forward will do is just keep coming. So there'll be a point where he won't keep going, but he will get to the best position on his opponent. Does that all make sense? Do you reckon you could coach that? I'll show you a couple of drills I reckon you can do that make it really, really simple. Is there any?
Getting players to be confident to leave at home to go and do that.
Do you need to be, if we said, in terms of just teaching your players, you said if you're within a kick from the ball, I want you to be pretty close to your opponent. And if you're more than a kick away from the ball, all I want you to do is just stand in front of your opponent. Do you reckon you could convince your players to do that? So even if back here the ball's in the goal square, and you said to your defenders, and even for kids, you said, I don't want you to stand behind him here. All I want you to do, if you're more than a kick away, is to make sure you stand in front of him. Do you reckon you could convince them to do that? Do you reckon that's an easy thing to coach? And if you said to your players, if the ball is moving to the right, I want you to be on which side of your opponent? Right side until a point where you don't need to defend him anymore. Either the boundary line or another teammate or enough players that you don't need to defend him anymore, then you drop to the other side. Do you reckon you could coach them that as well? If you did that, you're teaching the principles of dangerous space and team defence. It doesn't have to be your deepest player standing 20 metres away from your opponents. Understand the principles? Again, if I went back and I was coaching locally, this is one of the principles and things that I teach really, really strongly because I'm absolutely convinced that if you just taught that principle of being more than a kick away, being in front, being a kick away, particularly 0 to 30, be really close, ball going in a direction, you just move as quickly as you possibly can, I reckon you'd be okay. You'd be surprised how much more the ball your players would get and how much more impact they'd have on the game just by being in a good position more often. Okay, so by being here, they kick long to the contest, the ball bobbles over the back, I'm in front, I'm straight onto that ball. So they kick long down the line because they've got pressure that I've got outside my opponent because they've ripped it to this side. Who's going to mark it? Not the forward, it's me. Right, that's how you get intercept marks, that's how you get defenders impact the game. But it's not just your defenders, it's teaching everybody across the board.
So as a defensive coach at Carlton, you're not just coaching those back six, you're coaching everyone their defensive roles in the game.
Yeah. Which is the way you got it. So we talked about that run and carry before. We talked about it from an offensive point of view. And again, we had a clear focus, we wanted to try and teach run and carry. What's the next step we can actually do when we start talking about this stuff?
Set it up on the ground.
Yeah, no, so we're going to do the run and carry.
Defence.
Yeah. Teach the defence. Yeah. So we talked about having a randomness to it with just players in the middle. We can start talking about the principles of defence. So when we had the three, let's assume these are the three guys here. We said when the ball got to one side, didn't we? That it was easier to defend. So when we fed the ball, or the ball got handballed to one side. How can I make it more difficult for the attack, particularly if I've got a teammate behind me?
Start in the corridor. Start in the corridor, the drill.
Yeah. So we're doing exactly the same drill. All we're talking about is these two defenders. We can go wherever we want. We've got those three attackers coming from that end. We're coaching defence now.
Close off one of the players.
Beautiful.
Give it to.
So even if it gets fed to the middle, I'm saying, I don't really care if you handball there. You're not going to handball there. What does that do from a teammate behind? Where's he going to? Straight up there. We've eliminated him because I've taken him out. I've come at an angle that he can't possibly handball. I know he's going to handball there, but that doesn't matter because my teammate's going to press up as well.
Taking the next dangerous.
Yeah, so same principles as here. You get them on one side, trying to keep them there, making it easy. So when the ball's on the side, it's much easier to defend versus in the middle because we're all taking a piece. When it's in the middle, where's the dangerous place? Could be in front, could be behind, could be either direction, so it's much more difficult. Okay, so we didn't talk about it before, but you can easily coach the defence in that run and carry drill. Principles of eliminating receivers, giving them one, and then trying to squeeze out one top. All got the principles of team defence and the idea of dangerous play. Again, if you are coaching junior kids, you can teach them the concepts of dangerous space. More than a kick away, you can stand in front of your opponent. It just means when the ball moves, you've got to move too. So if they take a short kick, we're playing seniors and if they take a 20-metre kick or 30-metre kick, and I'm 60 metres from the ball, all of a sudden now I'm only 30 away from the ball. Right, which means then I've got to adjust my position. Now I'm in a position where I've got to be close to my opponent. I'll show you a really quick, do you want to see a quick drill for that?
Yep.
How to adjust it? Right. We'll just set it up on here as if it was that one we did before with the handball and the 2v2 on the inside. If you set up the same drill, chuck that one on there, okay? 4 kickers on the outside and you have 2v2 on the inside. What are we doing in terms of our positioning and what we're trying to eliminate here? So the ball's in this corner here. What are important for me as a defender on the inside now? So it's a bigger space. We're talking more like a 30 metre around, so they're decent kicks. They can kick it in any direction. They can go over the top if they want. What do we think about in terms of defence? Think about the space. What are we trying to do in terms of
these options?
Yep. What else?
Well, you sort of try and control his decision making to suit you.
Yeah, so how are we doing that?
Well, you don't want him to be going to this one and maybe over the top there, so you want him to kick to that one.
Yeah.
And then rely on your teammate maybe to come through.
Yeah, so we've got two inside here as well, so we're 2v2. What are we doing really quickly as the ball moves? So the ball gets kicked. What are we doing? Moving, adjusting. Right, so we might be adjusting and trying to work together to be able to defend the space. Alright, ball moves, we need to adjust really quickly. So you can make it bigger or smaller. You can make it really big if you want, have extra cones around the outside, and get those guys on the inside. They will go from, I'm here, I'm really close, and I'm really close to my opponent as I need to be, to all of a sudden the ball's gone a long way away now, a lot further away. Right, so then I've got to adjust my position. I might be now in a really proactive position up off my opponent, whereas before I was really, really close. So even with, you can have your players set up, have a kicker here, have a kicker here, and have a kicker here. Don't worry about the oval, but just in essence in terms of the drill, starts here, I'm defending my opponent here, so I'm hard on my opponent, the ball's coming this way, he kicks it back, what do I do now? Come up in front. He kicks it back again, I'll come even further up in front, then all of a sudden he takes one, I'm adjusting back. Gets back to here, and then all of a sudden he might be able to punch the ball inside. He might even have a space at that deepest forward here that he's got to work in. But just adjusting that position, you can do the same thing with the lateral stuff. So out this side, the ball's going that way. Quickly get this side of our opponents. I'll try and show you a little bit of vision to show you exactly what it looks like. Little grid games, anything where you can challenge them in terms of positioning and space is really, really good. You can do it around the arc as well with kicks inside 50. So maybe that you can orchestrate so they kick to certain positions and then they've got to adjust. They might have to come up in front, might have to be back close to their opponent.
So Dale, when you're coaching this, and because you've got a number of coaches, but these guys might only have one or two other coaches, you'll be looking at, if you're doing a drill, you're looking at the defensive side of the drill, I take it.
Yep.
And you'll have someone else perhaps looking at the attacking side of the drill.
Yep.
So you don't have everyone just looking at the same thing. You've got right. Different roles. So
absolutely.
So that's one of the guys
we talked about the training stuff before. We talked about having a clear focus, but you can have coaches with clear focuses in the drill as well. So breaking your session down to have little breakdown drills like this where there's one coach looking after a station and maybe they run for 6 or 8 minutes and you rotate. But if you're doing, say, full ground drill, absolutely make sure that you give clear focuses to your coaches as to what you need them to look at. So I'll be looking at what are the forwards doing, what are the mids doing, what are the backs doing in terms of defence. Other people might be, you might have someone else looking at the ball movement of the other team. Make sure you're really specific with your coaches so that you give them clear direction as to what you want them to look for. And break it down even more. So we want to look at our positioning based on our opponent each time. Are we in a great position to be able to defend? So don't worry about all the other components to it, just really concentrate on that and coach that as strongly as you can.